They have a big question for you, Matt.
Morning.
They have
Jim. Is that Jim's voice?
That's Jimmy. He's back. He had a rough week.
Oh, wow. Way to rally, Jim. Got home probably medium late last night and came on the show anyways, huh?
No, actually, I flew out early yesterday. I didn't have to stay with the team since it wasn't our game. But these guys, and by the way, it wasn't a rough week. I led the Cardinals to a big rebound road trip thanks to me. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
You know that, Matt. You know when things aren't going well, you guys turn to me, and I give you some words to uplift you.
Yeah.
Yep, always.
Hey, for one, did you have a good Mother's weekend, man? Mother's Day weekend?
I did. We had a great weekend, and so everything's good. So, yeah.
No, not enough. Not enough. Did you get flowers,
What'd you
candy?
do?
Detail.
What'd you do?
Chocolate,
please.
cards.
Just card. We're at 23 years, of marriage, so I tell her every day is Mother's Day. She's not a big. She doesn't have to have gifts all the time, so she's pretty awesome. So just a card and some kind words from the kids.
Yeah, I get that, man. I get that.
That's nice.
Hey, I got a question for you. And Cole, our producer, he's a young lad. He's got high potential. But he did call out Jimmy the other day.
Potential.
We were talking about getting rings and who gets them. And I asked Cole, I go, Jimmy got a ring. He deserves that big time. He's out there grinding every damn day. And Cole said that he doesn't, and he shouldn't get one. And I was going to ask you, a text line wanted to ask you, do you think Jim the Cat Hayes, with all the work he puts in, deserves a ring from the Cardinals?
For 2011, the one that
2011. Yes.
You sweated
it
bled
out.
for that ring.
Dang right.
And Jim also has one.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Doesn't feel great. No, it kind of takes the specialness out of it. Yeah. I mean, look, if they gave him one of those little replica rings they would give out to the fans, when they did the replica ring day, I'm totally fine with that. But, I just feel like, the real thing for Jim is probably, like I said, it makes us who actually did something, it makes us feel like, it's just not quite as special. But, charity's good. So a little bit of charity thrown Jim's way. It's fine. He can hand it down, and maybe, maybe somebody someday can make a little money off of that.
No, it's my son Tyler, who and he's going to have it. He ain't selling it. He'll pass it down to his kid.
Oh, yeah. He's going to pawn that thing off. And
So let me ask you this. If we're all in agreement that I didn't earn it, how would you guys have reacted if I walked into the clubhouse next year or the year after you won it, wearing that thing like I had something to do with it?
That would have been great. I would have liked that because that's funny. But just having it, I would appreciate if you'd wear it more often, Jim.
And your
Next
gold
time
chain.
you're back, I'm wearing it. Next time you're back, I'm wearing it.
And your gold chain.
I hope you do.
So Matt Holliday, the Cardinals are back, baby. I mean, the first month it's very un-Cardinals-like, but now you got a sweep of the Red Sox. They take two a tree from the Cubbies, and things are looking a lot better. What do you think?
I think. Look, I thought they weren't going to be a bad team like they were in April, and eventually. You have talent, you have leadership, you have veterans. I'm not sure what this team is, but it's definitely not what it was in April. And so, eventually Nolan Arenado was going to hit home runs. He hits home runs every year. He hits between 28 and 40 home runs every year. He wasn't going to hit 2 homers a month. Eventually. These guys' baseball cards eventually are going to return to more in line with what they've done in their career, which means this team is talented enough to win the division. Now, did they put themselves in a big hole? Of course they did. But I think that this team has the ability to climb out of the hole. I don't think the division is that good. Obviously, the Brewers have good starting pitching. I think the Pirates are returning to more of what we thought they were. I just think this division is still going to be up for grabs, and it's good to see that on a road trip to go get 5 out of 6. just need to keep the momentum going at home. I mean, traditionally, the Cardinals have played really, really good baseball at home, and they're going to have to do that.
I wanted to ask you, because one of the things we talked about on this show was Flaherty, who was really frustrated with his last start, and there was a big thing about us asking him about not having velocity, and basically he said, as reporters, we don't really understand pitching. What's the frustration level like? You've been in that situation where after a bad loss or maybe you had a bad game. I'm not sure you ever had a bad game, but let's just say hypothetically if you did.
That's funny.
And then you get like 10 guys around asking you about it. How frustrating is that, and how much are you conscious of the fact that, I mean, you were always nice to the media, that you can't just unload on people because it makes you look bad?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's times as human beings where you're frustrated with your own performance, and then you have to answer the same question. And some of the questions to us or to athletes may seem silly, or maybe, it's sometimes we can't fathom the idea that you might ask a stupid question, which I was always very ready because I know you. So I was always ready for your stupid questions. So, I think sometimes, you have to be able to be, understand that you're talking to the fans, and there's going to be times where you're going to be frustrated. You're going to want to not do it. You're going to want to be sarcastic and even on the verge of being mean about some of sometimes the perceived dumb questions. But as a professional, it's your job and answering the questions and. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand that frustration is part of it, but at the same time, you have to be careful and how you present that, because it is a reflection on you, and you want to keep it where you don't add any drama or any sort of controversy to the clubhouse, and you don't want to give people things to talk about in a negative light about the team or you as an individual.
If I had a time machine, I would go back in time to the season after you guys won it, after you had an 0 for 4, and I would have the ring on, and I would wave it in your face, and I would say, how can a guy in your position have not learned to lay off the outside breaking stuff?
I would have loved that. Yeah, I would have handled that well, Jim. I would have handled that really, really well.
So, Matt, did you ever in your career, I'm sure you wanted to say this, but did you ever tell a media member you don't understand hitting?
I don't think so. You might have to go back and fact check me on that one, but I don't ever remember. I don't remember ever going there. I might have thought that, but particularly like in the dugout pregame or even on the field postgame with a certain Valley Sports member, but.
Shot at Pat Harris.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't think so. I don't think I hope I didn't. I mean, look, like I said, there's baseball can get you pretty frustrated, but I don't think I ever did.
But you thought it, though. You did think it.
And still does.
Yeah, I told you. When you asked me stupid questions, I always thought, gosh.
No. Let's not make this about you and I. But when you get asked questions about hitting,
why not?
About hitting generally, even if it wasn't from me, you have thought, this guy doesn't really understand what it takes to do what I do, right?
Sure.
That's fair.
Oh, 100%. But there's only a few people that do. I mean, unless you stepped in that box in a major league game, it's hard to understand how hard it is. And so, I mean, you got to have sympathy or I guess you got to have understanding that very few people get to step into the box in a major league game and do that. So I guess that's what I would say is that it's you have to understand these guys, these media members have never done it, and so sometimes the questions are going to come from a place that's hard for you to understand that has done it, and so that's just part of it. I mean, that's just that's all sports. I mean. Like I said, there's very few media members that are asking questions from a place of having been in the exact same situation that they're asking about.
That's interesting. I was going to ask that kind of in a funny way, but you explained it perfectly. I was going to say, what percentage of media members you think really kind of understand the game and ask the proper questions, even if they didn't play, though, even if they didn't play in the majors or even at any level?
Me.
Well, I think the longer you do it and the more you're around the players and you spend time studying it, I mean, I think the questions would be better. You know, I mean, I think sometimes the guys that are just pop in and pop out and don't really get to know the players or ask questions away from sort of writing stories where, you know, you get time where you just say, hey, why don't you explain this to me? Or so I think that there are really good reporters that actually try to learn and understand how hard the game is. So, I mean, I definitely think it can be, you know, guys can learn and do it. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the guys get frustrated with the guys that they rarely see or who, you know, don't take time to try to learn maybe the ins and outs of what we're doing and how difficult the game is. If you don't, I think that's what frustrates guys is when people don't appreciate how hard it is.
Do you have to sit down a kid maybe that didn't handle the media the right way? Like, I know I keep, talking about Jack Flaherty, but you won that game. That wasn't another loss. That was a win, and then it was all about him at the end. Like, was there any other younger kid that kind of didn't know how to handle the media and you had to sit him down and kind of teach him a thing or two?
Yeah, I mean, Clint Frazier, the year I was in New York, was a young player, and he had the long hair, and that was a big ordeal. And, he thought everyone was against him. And so I tried to help him understand, sort of not everybody's after him, and it's not, kind of, I mean, I think there's young players that you have to say, look, hey, man, this is part of the job. Like,
yeah,
you can either fight it and, and make a big deal out of it, or you can just kind of, especially as a young player, like my whole thing was fly under the radar.
Yes.
Just do your job, play well. Don't talk too much. Don't, seek the help of older players. Watch how guys that you admire do their work.
Yep.
And so that was all my advice was like, don't worry about the things and just worry about being good at the job. And then, it's sometimes, everybody wants to immediately have the cars and all the free stuff and the houses and they want to live the lifestyle. And my whole thing was, just focus on being a really good player, and then all that stuff can happen. But if you're worried about the wrong things, it's very difficult to be a really good player in Major League Baseball.
Matt, it's Cole here. I'm so glad that you just mentioned your year in New York. But what? What, Cam?
Cole here.
No, the Cole here.
Cole here.
Oh, he doesn't know who I am.
It's all good.
Okay.
He's trying to get to know Matt. Like,
Cole,
hey, Matt said, and I'm curious. I didn't want to. So you're telling me, Matt, because I did. Now, I think you're kind of probably chirping the local TV guys who popped in and out every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Are you telling me that pregame or postgame, you wanted to spend extra time getting to know me during your career, and I was supposed to ask you questions? Come on now.
Cole was just asking a question.
That with you.
I just got steamrolled.
No, I mean, I don't think – I think there's a way to be friendly where you can say, hey, can I ask you a question off air? And you say whatever your question is. I don't think anybody has a hard time. It's all about the approach, right? I mean, if you are trying to learn, I don't think anybody would ever be offended or put off by somebody in the media trying to actually learn about the game. I mean, I don't think so. I mean –
I was joking.
Talk to you. I know, but
Can Cole ask his question
Cole,
now?
ask your question,
I was just
Cole.
kidding around.
I've been waiting all
kid.
week. I waited a whole week to ask this question. I'm so glad that you mentioned your year in New York because a lot of the Cardinals players have been getting snippy with the St. Louis media recently. And I was wondering if the New York media is as intimidating as they are made out to be because they definitely have the reputation of not pulling any punches. Did you have any experiences with that?
I didn't find it that big of a difference outside of there was more of them. I feel like, it was all the similar questions. I mean, there's only so many things you can ask, but I just thought it was similar in that, but, instead of 4 beat reporters, there was 10, or after a game, you might have 20 people in front of your locker instead of 8. So I didn't really think it was as, I was only there, like I said, a year. So, I don't want to pretend like I know all the ins and outs of what the media is like in New York, but my experience was they were fair. They were there a lot. They asked a lot of questions. But it was to me, it was very similar outside of the fact that there was just a lot of them.
And for the record, I've told this story before. It wasn't just in New York where you sort of police the clubhouse, because when you were with the Cardinals, I remember Randall Grichuk and also Matt Adams, when I'd ask them to do an interview, they would say, can we do it over here where Holliday won't see us talking to you because he scares the heck out of us.
Well, that's just for you. That was a special
Just for me.
Treatment. I wanted to make sure you had to work for everything you got.
I said to Matt Adams, I said, Matt, you can't be that scared of Holliday. You're a giant guy.
You're a big boy.
And he said, no, Holliday would kill me.
Yeah.
That's what Matt Adams said.
Well, I appreciate that. You know what I mean, Jim? Just got to make sure you got to keep those young guys on edge a little bit.
right.
But
like we do with Cole.
Nothing but love. You know.
And one other thing,
Yeah.
just so you know, too. I could have been a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, you could have. You
When-
got hurt.
When you look as good as I do, you want to be in front of the camera more. And
Sure.
so I was pushed in that direction as a youngster to share my talents as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
I probably could have made
could have
the
done
major
it.
leagues
You could have done it.
as a middle infielder,
Yeah.
get on base, be scrappy.
Scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good then.
We're good. All right, Maddie. We appreciate you coming on. We do. And I'm glad that Cole got his question out there. Usually
yeah.
Big time.
got stepped on there a
Yeah.
little bit. Cole's a little nervous. He got stepped on by Charlie. All good. All good.
Wasn't stepped on.
Good to hear from you, Cole. Yeah.
There it is.
Thank
It
you,
was a
Matt.
conversation.
I'll have something for you next week, and I won't introduce
step in,
myself
Cole.
next time.
Yeah.
Can
I
you-
just feel bad.
Quit
Wait, hold on.
intimidating him,
Before you
Charlie.
go,
I feel bad.
Before you go, Matt, you like Cole. Can you tell Charlie, let Cole ask his
Yeah.
questions, because Charlie's trying to big time.
Yeah, I know.
Charlie, create a little space for Cole. All right.
Listen, I love Cole. He's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Matt, just like me, he's from. No, I'm from Toledo.
Oh, okay.
Let him ask
He's
his
from
question.
Columbus. I know Matt probably doesn't care about that, but I wanted to say what I wanted to say was, see, I actually, in my time when I used to be able to get a credential, we won't get into that, but see, I always wanted to not bother the players. But I do think that spring training to me was the best time to really get to know the players, because, like, in all honesty, during the season when you're grinding it out, like, I felt like I don't want this guy to have to talk to me before the game when he's trying to hit off Max Scherzer or afterwards when he's mad. But I think what you said was fantastic.
Well, like I said, you got to pick your spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to. I mean, there's going to be times where it's appropriate, not appropriate. I mean, that's just having feel for being able to talk to someone. But I do think that guys don't mind talking to people in certain situations about the game and helping y'all understand. Maybe some little stuff that maybe it's hard to understand from the outside looking in.
Yeah. I get you, bud. Hey, we appreciate you coming on, Maddie.
Thank you, Matt.
All right.
See you, dude.
Thanks. Great job, Cole.
Hey, Cole here.